What's up, everyone? We have some exciting things going on in the stock market. The meme stocks are back. Bed Bath & Beyond is up about 100% today. In today's video, we're going to go over all of the crazy news in the stock market right now, some awesome plays to watch going into this week. And at the end of today's video, we have about a $1 million trade that you won't want to miss. But Tom, looking at the stock market today, everyone is talking about Bed Bath & Beyond. The stock is booming. What's happening with this one?
Yeah, this is insane. I think we're getting a short squeeze, Mike. This stock is starting to boom, and we are starting to see it pop off on Wall Street Bets, Twitter, and pretty much all over the place. It's pretty much the hottest, most talked about stock in the market right now. And I can actually go to some other meme stocks, like AMC is doing pretty well today. GameStop did well, but nothing is touching BBBY. It closed up 92%, and it actually had highs around 120 to 130% from Friday's close. I mean, these numbers here are insane today. And like I said, it's kind of starting to do a short squeeze, Mike. Now, the short squeeze is going to be pretty important here because there's actually been a lot of issues with Bed Bath & Beyond. We've heard a lot of stuff of possible bankruptcy. I know that they recently reported earnings, and the earnings were actually pretty bad. Their sales were bad, and they only had like $153 million in cash left, according to this article on the street. So there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff with Bed Bath & Beyond, Mike. But the thing I love is this volatility. It was awesome, up 120%. And I love it when stocks start doing this because it just drives in a lot of volatility. And, you know, it's kind of fun to maybe get into some quick day trades on this and just watch the volatility there.
I feel ya. So the main thing to know with this stock and what gets really crazy with it is that basically this stock has a total share float of around 65 million shares. So you can think of that as like the total supply out in the market that's easily tradable. Now the thing is, out of this 65 million share supply, 38.5 million of those shares have actually been sold short. And when the stock starts to boom to the upside, those shorts get squeezed, and sometimes they actually get forced to buy back shares, which makes the stock go even higher. And what's very, very interesting is not only is there a small float to this stock, but today there was 241 million shares traded. Think about that. You could think of like a nice, easily tradable supply right around 65 million shares, and the total shares traded today was 241 million. And that's why the stock's booming. There's a lot more demand than there is supply for this stock right now. And there's definitely some hype to go along with it as well. There have been multiple rumors to kind of like pump the stock as well. But at the end of the day, there's just a ton of buyers flocking into this one.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of AMC whenever it was going crazy a long time ago. And I'm just really glad that we're starting to get this volatility coming back in. Like I said, it's even bleeding over into some other stocks like GameStop and AMC again. You know, we're actually up above $6, and we're right on this big resistance, which was pretty much the high from back in January. And when I go out on the daily chart, there's actually a lot of big resistances coming up here on Bed Bath & Beyond. So I'm going to actually mark some here on the chart, and you can see that we actually had some marked from a long time ago, all the way up at 18. But one of the key ones that I'm really going to watch for over the next couple days, it's going to be right around $8. I think that's going to end up being a huge level as we start to move up. And then above 8, I see like 8.80 to 9 as being the next major resistance there. So I feel like we will start to slow down a little bit, at least intraday, if we start to hit some of those levels.
Gotcha. So Bed Bath & Beyond actually had an insane run up last year. Basically in the beginning of August of 2022, this stock went from like $5 per share all the way up to highs of around $30 per share, and it came crashing all the way down and ended up making lows of around $1.27 per share on January 6th of 2023. Now, these types of what a lot of people call meme stocks are like playing with fire. You know, there's a chance that you might buy the stock and it might double or triple, but there's also a damn good chance you buy the stock and it sinks down. So understand that these stocks are basically the most volatile stocks you can find in the market. Sometimes they work good, but you just have to be very, very careful with them.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've seen a lot of people make a lot of money on him, but I will say I've seen the majority of people I've talked to lose money on him in the past. So be very careful. But, if it ends up having a nice uptrend, you can end up catching some insane moves. And I will say, Mike, sometimes the options on these can go crazy. Like if I go to Bed Bath & Beyond's weekly options chain right now, some of the at the money options at like the 6th strike, for example, that expire February 10th are up like 1,200%. So you can definitely, catch some pretty big gains on some of these stocks, even some more in the money ones like the 4 strike are up like 750%. So there is some opportunities with this. And I feel like intraday, we can definitely see some big moves. But talking about big moves, Mike, we actually have some pretty big earnings coming up tomorrow. We have Royal Caribbean, British Petroleum, Enphase, Chipotle, and After Hours there. So we are going to see some volatility with that. And then we also have Powell speaking. It looks like he's going to be speaking at the Economic Club in Washington, D.C. there.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, tomorrow is set to be an exciting day. Like you said, we have that Powell event at 12:40 p.m. Eastern time. So keep a close eye in the market around that time, as there should be some extra volatility. And then Tom, can we go back to the earnings calendar just for 1 second? So we could see that tomorrow for earnings, we have Royal Caribbean before market open, but after close, we have a couple big stocks like Enphase and Chipotle.
Yeah, definitely. And I know Enphase has been one of the bigger stocks over the past couple of years. And ever since COVID, Enphase has actually been holding up a lot better than I would say the majority of stocks. It's actually continued up on a nice pattern here. And, while it has been falling off the past couple months, because I think it just was getting way too overextended, it's still kind of like on this small trend here. And I feel like that, it's getting close to some big supports, like $200 even was a huge support recently. So definitely watch Enphase. If we start falling under 200, I think we could start falling down a lot more, but I'm very curious to see how they'll do, especially considering how good they've been this year. Plus we're bouncing off that key support. So I feel like we're at a pretty crucial point for this stock right now.
All right, good stuff. So Tom, I know overall there's been a ton of hype with these AI stocks lately, like ticker symbol AI and even BBAI have just been booming to the upside. Some of these AI stocks have been moving in a more powerful way than almost any other stock in the market. So as we look at these companies like BBAI, which is Big Bear AI, and then C3AI, which is ticker symbol AI, these stocks, at least some of them, are up around 3 times just over like the past couple weeks. And there's a lot of momentum with these stocks as well. I will say, if you're just buying into them now, I think you're a little late, but of course, there's always opportunity for like quick intraday moves and scalps all the time, especially when we still have these levels of movement and volatility going on.
Yeah, definitely. We still had a pretty big move today out of these stocks. Like AI was up 6.45% and BBAI was actually up 17%, which was pretty nice to see there. And, I know that these technically aren't like AI stocks, I guess, in a way, but I did notice that like Tesla was up today too, and a couple other stocks that deal with AI, like IBM, for example, had fairly good moves today, minus the initial drop down with the SPY this morning. I will say the SPY was a little bit negative today, which made a few stocks gap down initially, but it was nice to see these AI stocks moving. And I know that AI, like C3 AI specifically, has been down a ton the past couple years. And, while we have been up a lot here, we're at a pretty big resistance around 30. I still feel like that there's more room to go. Now, I will say we're getting definitely overextended here in the short term, but I feel like on a longer term basis, these stocks could definitely keep going over the next year to 2 years. I feel like that we'll start to see more solid movement.
Yeah, I can definitely see some long-term opportunity as well. But just like you said, short-term, some of these stocks are definitely overextended. But looking at the market overall, Tom, I would say it was kind of a choppy day. What are you seeing for the big levels on SPY or the S&P 500?
Yeah, so the SPY was actually in a bit of a range today, which was very interesting. I noticed that this was a pretty clear range as well. So I noticed that there's a lower level on this range right around 408. So I really like that as a good lower level there. So I think 408 is going to be a huge support tomorrow. I'm also seeing support right around like 409. So, give or take $1 here, you can kind of tell how there was a few hits here multiple times throughout the day. So I'm going to really watch that. If we fall below 408, I'll watch for a bigger push down. And I definitely think that that could happen, especially when you zoom out on the overall market. We're still kind of overextended, but that 408 support's huge. That was a big level from back on Friday, January 27th as well. So definitely watch 408, but to the upside, 411 is actually a pretty big resistance. And this was huge from last week, 2 hits on Friday there, and then multiple hits today. So you can kind of see this range is pretty even here. And I will say, Mike, it looks like we might be moving to the upside. Look at this amazing news we got today. He said Kramer came out and said that the Federal Reserve will create a recession no matter what. So, with Kramer always being wrong, hey, we might be moving back up here sometime soon.
Exactly, right? I mean, I was actually feeling a little bearish on the market, and then I saw this news. I was like, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah, and you never know with this guy. Look, just last week he said that we're in a bull market, so buy the dip. Now he's saying that they're going to create a recession no matter what. So does that mean that we're still in a bull market? We should buy the dip? I mean, I don't know, Kramer. I get it. He's got to change sometimes, but man, I don't know. He's had a lot of shaky stuff lately.
Hold on, we have to go back to this news, Tom. Like something doesn't add up here. So on February 6th, we have the Fed's going to create a recession no matter what, and then last week we have, it's time to buy the dip. We're in a bull market. What? Like, honestly, this news has to cancel each other out. Like I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, exactly. It just cancels each other out. I guess we'll just stay at break even now, kind of like we did today in the market, honestly. So choppy and flat. Honestly, I'm just hoping we can get a big move out of this range either way. But man, Kramer said some funny stuff lately. I'll tell you, we'll be watching him a lot over the next couple of weeks. That's for sure.
You know it. So one other thing I want to talk about with the market overall is like as we look at some of these powerhouse market moving companies like Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, and other stocks like that, these stocks have been running up in a very powerful way over the past couple of weeks and they're borderline overextended. But at the same time, it's like these stocks are like, they're not going down without a fight, like it looks like they're overextended, but it's like intraday, like they're just holding up. So what's interesting is like it's hard to, I guess you could say, like play bearish positions right now or short the market because when you have companies that are as strong as Tesla, Microsoft, Apple, and others just holding up even though they're overextended, it puts bears in a tough position.
Yeah, it definitely does. And some of these stocks are so overextended, like Tesla here on this 5-minute chart. If we look at the past couple weeks, it's almost up like it's getting close to 100% here if we end up breaking through $200. Honestly, it is up 200% from pretty much or 100% pretty much from the beginning of the year. But man, we're sitting right on that key $200 resistance on Tesla as well. And a lot of these other stocks are at resistance too. So I'm going to really be watching over the next few days for a possible hit off resistance and a possible move back down. Like you said, it's hard to be short, of course, but if we do start to see some solid moves, I think that there is still some potential here. And, especially with just how overextended we've been, I feel like that we might be due for a small pullback. And some of these earnings are going to be very key here. Like Enphase is going to be pretty big over the next few days. And then we have Disney and Pepsi and PayPal. And, we still have a lot of big earnings over the next couple months.
Yep, no doubt. So it'll be a fun week to say the least. But now let's get into some setups for tomorrow and the rest of the week. One stock that's close on my radar is Boeing, ticker symbol BA. So this stock is just like teetering right around this $204 level. If it can break below that, I can see a retest of the $200 level. And then if it breaks below that, I can see a retest of around the $196 area. So either way, Boeing's momentum has definitely been slowing lately. But that 204 level has been a crucial support. So if it breaks below it, I could see more downside.
Yeah, definitely. This setup looks pretty good, Mike. So I'll definitely be watching this too. And yeah, I would say a push down to around 200 would be awesome. And then if we fall below that, hopefully even more of a downtrend. And, we're starting to see a lot of other stocks at resistance like Tesla, like we mentioned. So I could definitely see it happening. And of course, my play is going to be a little bit bearish as well on AMD, which had a pretty good downside move today. Pretty good free day trade in the Discord today on AMD as well. If anyone check that out. But I will say, if we end up falling down below $83 tomorrow, I will be watching for a pretty quick scalp down to around 82. I'm not going to get too greedy with this one. I think just playing a 1 point move down would be a pretty good and quick scalp. And I think it's pretty realistic for a nice day trade there.
All right, sounds good. Another one I'm watching pretty closely is UVXY. For those of you who watched yesterday's video, you'll notice it's the exact same setup. Basically, UVXY is a pretty good hedge to the overall market in the short term. There's a lot of ways to profit off of volatility, whether it be the VIX index, whether it be VIX futures, or there's a lot of ways to say the least, but UVXY is one of the easier methods. The main thing you need to know is when people panic, UVXY goes up a lot. UVXY is very, very, very low right now. I just think the overall risk to reward ratio is good with it. And I wouldn't be surprised if it touched like that $6.50 area some point soon. Right now it's right around like $5.05. But of course, in order for it to get up to like $6.50, we would need some decent selling pressure in the market.
Yeah, definitely. And the SPY is sitting right on key support around 408. And if we break that, I think that could be exactly what we need for UVXY. I'll definitely keep it on the radar. It's one of my favorites there. Now I will say, we talked about a lot of bearish plays. I know UVXY was technically, I guess, bullish, but it was bearish overall on the market. This Google play is going to be a little bit bearish tomorrow, but I feel like that as we start to go down through the week, I'm definitely going to be watching this big support. So with Google here, if we end up falling below 102 tomorrow, I'm going to watch for a nice push down. And I feel like it could be a good day trade down to around $100 even. And if we end up getting down to around 100, I'll be watching that for a potential support bounce intraday. Now, I don't think that we're going to hit 100 and, move back up to 112 and start to really fly back up. But I think intraday we might hit 100, maybe come back, retest 102 or 101, and then start to go back down again. So I will be watching that $100 support, but even if we break below 102, I think there's a potential play down to 100. So I think you could play this a couple ways, but I just wanted to point it out because we're at such a big crucial level there.
All righty, sounds good. Well, it is now time for the momentum plays. With today's first one, we have SE to the downside.
C limited, yeah. If they end up breaking down below $65 even, I will watch for a put play to the downside.
All right, with the next one, we have Tilray or TLRY to the upside.
Yeah, Tilray, hopefully they can hold this support and go back up here. If they can get back above 325, I'll watch for a nice push up.
And with the last one, we have Block or SQ, and we need both directions.
Yeah, they always confuse me with that name change now. So Block's holding a support right around 82. So if they break below 81, watch for a play to the downside. But if they end up moving up above 83, then watch for a play to the upside.
All right, so we have that downside level on SQ. We have that upside level as well. If it breaks below the downside level, we look at it for a day trade down. If it breaks above the upside level, we look at it for a day trade to the upside. We also have that upside level on TLRY. And SE, we have that downside level. So keep that in mind. But it is now time for the big money trade of the day. Today we have nearly a $1 million trade coming into LBTYA. Specifically, it is the LBTYA $22.50 strike call options that expire on January 19th of 2024. So LBTYA is an international telecom company, telecommunications. Basically, for my viewers out there who don't understand options, assuming this is a long call trade, the smart money wants LBTYA to go up as much as possible. The higher it goes up, the more millions they will make. At the absolute worst case scenario, they need it at $22.50 on January 19th of 2024. I was looking at the stock over like the long term, Tom, and it's had a lot of mixed movement over the years. Basically, it has highs of around $58 a share back in 2015 and lows of $4.50 per share back in like 2009. Right now, it's right around like $21 a share. So on the longer term scale, it's still closer to that bottom end of its range, but over the past couple of years, it's just been pretty range bound and flat.
Yeah, it has. And I noticed that there's been a big double bottom actually down there, like right around $15 to $15.10 on that really like long-term weekly chart. So I will be watching this one. It looks like it might be back on the uptrend here. And if we start to see some bigger like green candles come in, like kind of like I noticed here on this weekly, anyways. Let me go back to a daily just to make it a little bit easier to show. I've noticed like, a lot of stocks when they go on uptrends, they almost like to staircase up. And, if we start to see more green candles come in, kind of like we did in the beginning of January here, I feel like it could be a pretty good multi-day swing or something like that. So keep it on the radar. That is a pretty good amount of money, almost $1 million into this. I will say this one does worry me. It could be some covered calls or something like that, but it does still seem pretty solid with that much money in.
Yeah, so like this setup isn't necessarily my favorite setup in the world. It's decent, but out of all of the big money trades we've covered, I like a couple of the other setups more. So feel free to do a little bit more due diligence on this stock. It can be good, but it's just not really for me right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's not my favorite. And I will say, Mike, we have Disney reporting earnings this week, and we recently actually had a big money play on Disney that was called out on December 20th of 2022, which was all the way down here at the bottom. I wonder if they saw a pre-earnings run-up or something coming in, Mike, because, man, that big money play really popped off at the time.
You know it. So one thing I want to say really quickly is if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. We post all the time, and when you subscribe, you'll see our videos recommended to you more often. We talk about these big money trades in basically every video. We always try to bring the news in a non-biased and good way. So definitely make sure to subscribe. But Tom, going into tomorrow and the rest of the week, I'm pretty excited. We're going to have some good price action this week. We have a couple big earnings on the way. Do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, it's going to be a big week. Just don't forget about these meme stocks. BBBY could go crazy. And talking about going crazy, Mike, look at this big red candle. It just had an after hours. Now it's getting volatile back to the downside. Eye this up tomorrow, guys. Who knows what the hell this one could do?
There we go. Last but not least, I want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Lex Mio in the StockedUp Discord. You've been in the chat for a couple years now, and you're always positive and consistently active. So definitely make sure to keep it up. Tom and I really appreciate you. Besides that, thank you guys so much for watching, and let's have an amazing week.